Hello everyone and welcome back to Two Up Travels.
Hey.
In a special episode today of
Questions about questions about questions.
answering questions about our trip and the motorcycle and us.
We've
That's
been
what we're
getting
gonna do.
a lot of the same questions as we've been traveling, and so we decided to make a Q&A.
Exactly. And there's a lot to cover on the topic of planning for the trip, like how we do things, questions about the motorcycle. And at the end we're going to talk about us. So we'll try and answer a fair amount here, but of course if you have more, highly encourage you to look things up, like resources. We'll try our best to leave some or give you as many answers as we can.
You can also always reach out and we'll answer your questions.
Yeah, that's also a thing we do. So, okay, well,
Let's jump into it.
Cool. So we're going to start talking, first we're going to talk about the budget, then we're going to talk about the motorcycle, and then route planning and gear, packing, and then finally us and traveling as a couple. So let's just jump right into it. Megan, what's the first question?
How do we afford traveling for months on end? We have a couple different streams of income. Our primary, way that we can afford it is we saved a whole bunch before we left on this trip. So Evan and I knew we were taking this trip for about a year beforehand, and so we just had been saving, and that's our biggest chunk. We have a nice crew of supporters on our Patreon page, and so they donate to us every month, and we give them exclusive content and blog posts, videos, that kind of stuff, and we're able to have that as a little source of income, which is a nice little boost as well. We also travel very, very cheaply.
We try.
We try and travel as cheap as possible. I know a lot of people would not like to stay at the places we stay, but we're fine with it.
Yeah.
We eat street food when we can, and we don't really go out on big excursions, so our costs are pretty low.
Riding a motorcycle on a trip like this versus, we're in Central America, let's just say, is cheaper in some ways and then also more expensive because you got to pay for gas, and then sometimes you have to pay to keep your bike safe, like for parking. We had to do that a couple times. Mm-hmm. But then also it's cheaper because you can sometimes get to areas that would be harder to reach, and there's better accommodations there for you, so you end up saving money that way. I mean, it balances out, I would say. It's probably slightly more expensive than if you were just gonna take buses and backpack around traditional style, but that's how we afford it, Megan also just recently got a job. She just started working online.
That's a new thing though, so that really hasn't been part of our budget until now.
Yeah.
But yeah, got a super flexible remote job, so that will be cool for our future travel endeavors.
How much did we save for this trip, roughly, approximately?
About $35K.
About $35K. So that when we rode from Oregon all the way up to Alaska and then came back down and then cut across the north of the United States and then went to Quebec and then came down the East Coast and then dropped into Mexico and went all the way down to Panama City before we turned around and came back here to Arizona, and that's about 8 months we've been doing it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're not broke yet, so.
No, I think we've spent
18 left?
18 left, yeah. So that's how much we've spent, roughly, all included, what we started with and then what we have spent. There it is.
Okay, this
next question
one is for you. What type of motorcycle do we have, and how does it work for Central America?
Yeah, so the type of motorcycle we have is a 2016 Triumph Tiger 800 XRT. Does it work well for Central America? Yeah, no, it works great. It's a bigger bike. When it comes to how much gear we're carrying, and the two of us, I think an 800 is necessary. So personally, I love it because it has the power to cruise really comfortably and quickly when we're on major highways or roads, and then also when we're in Central America and we need to get around traffic, or we want to get around trucks, or we need to get up and go to get out of certain traffic situations. Having that extra power is great. What's not great is it is a big bike. It just makes it much more difficult to manage and handle, and it's just a lot of bike sometimes. Yeah, I think it's really great for us. I couldn't imagine doing it on anything else. And we got a new suspension put on the back and front fork springs and things like that. We also use, we're talking about South Pioneers?
Yeah, we can jump down and do that, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of jump into our gear section now too.
Yeah, and just kind of like the stuff we use on the bike. We have soft panniers, we have giant loop RTW bags on there.
Why do we like those more than our hard panniers that we started the trip with?
Right, that's, so if you have hard panniers, it's totally doable, but for us, we found that the one time the bike fell over on its own, we didn't actually drop it. It fell over on its own. Because we had a moment. And the bike fell over, and it busted one of the hard panniers. It messed up the locking mechanism on it, so it was kind of falling off. And that was only one fall. And it just didn't end up working out well for us, and it was difficult to pack things in there because it was so rigid. So we ended up jumping to soft panniers, and it's been the best
We love our soft panniers.
best thing we can do is soft panniers. For people who are worried about are they going to get stolen or people can go through your stuff, yeah, you can lock your hard panniers. That's definitely a really nice thing you can do. But if you're that concerned about the contents of your panniers when you're staying somewhere, you can just pull them off and keep them in your room like we do. And then also when you're just like out and about, I mean, people aren't really going to go through your panniers. It's just not something that would happen.
We've never really had any concerns of that.
Yeah, these panniers lock onto the bike too. I'm more concerned about people taking the bags than I am about what's actually in the bags.
Yeah.
I love our bags.
Cool. What other type of gear do we use?
Right.
Specifically, someone asked about our helmets.
Yeah, our helmets are the Klim Krios.
Yeah.
KLIM KRIOS.
They have a visor, and it's really nice, especially for someone driving when the sun's like right in his face, right?
Yeah, the visor is a must-have, in my opinion. You can do it without it. There's plenty of people who do it without a visor, but like she was saying, when the sun's there, you know, and even if you have sunglasses on, having the visor to just kind of like block the sun it's so great.
Super great. Other type of gear that we use like Revit jackets.
Here's Revit gear. They have a line, I forget what it is right now. It's like Revit. It's like their 4-season adventure gear. It's been great in freezing weather and it's been great in super hot weather.
We have seen it all.
Yeah, it's been good. I do recommend if you go up to Alaska, bringing another base layer though, which is great, just like for the inside of the motorcycle jacket, because you will get cold.
Yep. Any other gear things? We wear boots.
I wear TCX boots. They've got really nice, comfortable boots. Go to their site, find something that works for you, but I like the ones that come up really high.
We have our Bluetooth headsets.
Oh yeah, if you're 2 people on a motorcycle, Bluetooth headset is a must. We have got
Cardo, Pack Talk Bold.
Cardo,
Remember?
yes.
You go, ding, Pack Talk, DMC, Intercom, Bumblefull, One, Connected.
Those are great though.
Yeah.
For communicating with each other and listening to music.
I would go crazy if I didn't have that on the bike.
Yeah,
I would
that's
lose my mind.
definitely. If you have 2 people, you're going to want a way to communicate to each other, and that's a steeper investment, but it's worth it.
Super worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, someone asked if we've had any close calls on the motorcycle.
There was when we were in
Canada,
and someone just pulled out into the intersection in front of us. So luckily we had new brakes and weren't going too fast, and we were able to slow down really fast. And then one recently, I was getting around a bus in Panama, and someone shot out in front of us. And so that was close.
I guess too, when we got stuck in the jungle, that was a pretty close call.
Yeah. I guess traffic close calls. Yeah, that was a different thing. We got stuck in the jungle. We won't go into it. You can check out the video.
Watch the video.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So as far as route planning goes, we get asked about this a lot, but one of our patrons asked us what mapping apps we use for planning the trip, how much time do we spend planning our route, and then how often do we just wing it?
We're always winging it.
Kind of plan, but then plans always change, and so we just kind of adapt our plans. Like if there's something that we know we really want to see in an area, like we wanted to go see the ruins in Mexico, so we like made sure to go see that, right? But sometimes you just show up to an area, like we didn't really know what was in Panama to see, so we just kind of show up and talk to locals and figure out what would be a good use of our time.
We plan, so this kind of feeds into the how do we afford this trip kind of a thing. So we'll look for areas that have accommodation. We will almost always use Airbnb. So we'll look on a map of a country and like places we maybe want to go based off of recommendations or just things that we've read. Or sometimes we just zoom in on an area and start looking around.
Oh, that looks cool.
So then we jump on Airbnb and we start looking at prices of places, and we start to categorize how much we want to see something there compared to like how much it would cost to stay, and then start to work around with those numbers. So a lot of where we end up staying comes down to how much we can pay for accommodation and what that accommodation has. So free parking is a huge thing if you're on a motorcycle in Central America.
Secured parking.
Yeah, secured parking is big, so we keep an eye out for that. Something clean, whatever. So
we don't really do the shared hostel dorms anymore. We're a little too old for that, so we'll usually splurge for like our private room.
Yeah, highly recommend that. And it's cheap south of the border. I mean, it's usually so cheap. We generally, when it comes to routing, we have the Garmin Montana 700i, and we'll use the routing on that. If you have a Garmin or you plan on getting a Garmin and using the mapping, just be cautious. Like sometimes it'll try to tell you to go places to get somewhere and it just doesn't make any sense. So use your best judgment. But generally too, we try to avoid big cities. It's
Like
just,
almost always.
Yeah, once you get into a big city in Central America, don't trust mapping. I mean, you can for the most part.
It just gets
but-
all confused because there's so many buildings and such.
Oh yeah, we were in Oaxaca City, and the way it tried to tell us to go, there was a market, and it closed down like several city blocks, and so now we're trying to figure out, we had to turn around, and we're trying to get back and around, and it's just like all sorts of different stuff. It was a disaster, not a disaster, but it was really
It's
frustrating.
just stressful.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's how we use that for mapping.
Let's talk about packing. Someone from YouTube asked, is there anything that we wished we had brought but we didn't? And then is there anything that we brought but wish we didn't bring? If anything, I feel like we overpacked.
Totally.
But I probably couldn't like pinpoint exact things that we shouldn't have brought. We just brought maybe like a couple mini two mini pairs of clothes, or brought like we bought like a big padlock that we've never used.
Yeah.
Or we both have like 8 pairs of glasses between the two of us.
Backup glasses just in case.
Just like, we just have a lot of extra random stuff. We brought our hiking boots and our tennis shoes and sandals, which is kind of overkill, but I don't know how else you would like consolidate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, moving forward, like for us, if I was to do it differently, I'd perfectly manage. You could very easily just bring like hiking boots, like find a good cross between like a hiking shoe or boot and then also something that's a daily wear. I wanted something that was going to be more of a tennis shoe as well for like around town or like going out. Like we ended up getting invited to a wedding. It was nice to have something that wasn't a hiking boot to wear to that. So not like they would care, they understand your lifestyle, so they're not going to like shame you for it, but it was nice to have something lighter and easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, just overpacking.
Yeah, I think it's just, the more you travel, the more you get used to packing lighter.
Yeah, just like you do it and you go through everything and you're like, what do I need? What do I not need? And you'll like bring it all down. And then you'll be into the trip and you'll have more stuff than you think.
You'll accumulate
You'll
stuff
accumulate things. But I guess that doesn't really answer the question of, is there anything we wish we had brought?
that we didn't bring. No, I really feel like we covered pretty much all of our bases.
Yeah.
I wish I would have brought some things differently, like a different dress or something. It's just, personal preferences.
Definitely bring stuff that is for your own entertainment while you're on the road too. Even though you're constantly going new places and that's really cool, there are going to be days where you don't want to go out and see the sights, or
You're going to need some downtime.
you're going to need downtime.
to recharge.
Because it's not vacation, right? I think
It's your life, yeah.
Yeah, it's not your life. You're traveling a lot on the bike. And sometimes, like, at the end of the day, whether you're camping or, you're in another country and you just want to hang out, it's good to have things with you. So, I'm a nerd. I like to play games. So I specifically brought, a computer that I could do my video editing and play games, because there was plenty of times where I wanted to hang out. And we brought our Kindles and things like that. We might try to make downtime. So, yeah. Make sure you pack something like that for yourself.
Okay, what is like the most important items that we packed that we're so happy we brought? I have mine. Can I say mine?
Yeah, go for it.
The Jetboil. Okay, so the Jetboil I don't know how to explain it. It's like a pot on a single burner, and you can make anything in it. Like when we were camping, we cooked breakfast, dinner in it. We got a French press, so we make coffee in it, and it instantly boils water in like 30 seconds. It's the best.
It's great.
Lightweight, portable. I love the Jetboil. I'm gonna bring it even when we go backpacking places. Our sleeping bags are really nice. Even if we didn't bring our camping stuff, we have used our sleeping bags when we're staying in hotel or rooms or whatever that maybe are not as great, and we just use our sleeping bags instead.
Man, there's so many things that I'm glad we brought. I'll start with an obvious one. The GPS
Oh yeah.
is really nice. Having a shock, waterproof, all those things proof with the maps on there. Having a satellite mapping is really great in case you don't have service or your phone dies. You always have that. Also having the SOS button on there is cool. Even though we've never had to use it, knowing that you can hit a button and have help there, which is great.
What about the anti-gravity battery on the bike?
Okay, so for the uninitiated, the anti-gravity battery is an amazing piece of technology. It's a battery that you can put into some models of motorcycles. It just replaces your battery, and if your battery dies or starts to drain, the battery will turn itself off at a certain point. So if it's like draining, and it hits a point, just turn itself off so it can't drain any more power. So then when you come back to your bike and you're like, dang, I'm out of juice, my battery's dead, you just lift your seat and you push a restart button and it turns the battery back on.
Sorry.
And then you have enough power to start your bike several times. So you don't have a dead battery in the middle of nowhere.
It's helped us a couple times.
Yeah, it's
when
great.
Our batteries died.
Highly recommend that.
2 more questions. Talking about couple travel.
Oh yeah, us.
So someone asked us, how did we meet and how did the trip come about? We actually met, what was that, 5 years ago now?
5 years ago.
5 years ago, I just moved back to Oregon. I went to a bar, I was like job searching, and this bald waiter came up and was like, hey, do you want a tequila shot? And I was like, yeah, sure. It's like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like, why not? And so he brings me a tequila shot, slides it across the table, and I throw it back, and it was water. And he laughs and laughs and laughs. I'm like, I
So
got you.
funny, yeah.
So funny.
Hilarious.
So we went out on a date.
Well, hold on. For those watching, this is a good pickup line. You get a shot of water, and they're like, that was water, like she did. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, I guess I'll, buy you a real drink. And then I asked her out. So then we went out.
We went out, and we didn't like each other.
Yeah, we didn't like each other.
We had a horrible date.
Like, boo, you suck.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I texted him, and I was like, I don't want to see you again. Bye.
Pretty much.
And then flash forward like 3 years, and we ran into each other at a St. Patty's Day party.
And we were just like, hey, like
I
3 years
remember.
was a long time ago. Let's put it all behind us and hang out. So we just hung out for the rest of the night and then realized that there was like a connection there. We liked each other. And we're like, you want to hang out? And she was like, yeah. And then
And now we're here.
2 years later, here we are. It's been quite the ride.
Yep. Okay, so how did this trip come about then?
Right, yeah, how the trip came about. Well, I was on a motorcycle trip with my very good friend, Ron, and what up, Ron? And we were out in California, sitting at the Hard Rock Hotel, Fire Mountain or something, drinking and just talking about future motorcycle trips. And I was talking about how I wanted to ride my current bike up to Alaska for the summer and spend time in Canada and Alaska and then ride back down to, kind of like just keep living, I suppose. And then he's like, dude, like, if you're going to go up there, you should just do the whole Pan American Highway. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good point. I should just quit my job and ride my motorcycle for a ridiculous amount of time. So that's how it began. And that just was like where the planning started. And it just didn't slow down from there. And then almost like a year later, a little over a year later, everything was set in motion and good to go. And it was time. So yeah, that's how this trip came about. Yeah. Is that it?
I think so. Oh wait, we have one more.
One more.
Oh, we get this question all the time.
Yeah, this is our most popular, most asked question right here.
And I changed the wording so it's a little bit nicer than how people usually say it, but it's, how do you handle spending so much time together? Because we are together every sleeping and waking moment for the last 8 months.
8 months we've been with each other, and a lot of times the only people we can talk to because of the language barrier.
Everything else is in Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Okay, well, I'll tell you how I put up with Megan constantly. You gotta have that communication piece, right? You gotta talk to each other. You gotta tell each other when you're irritated with each other or just in general. And you need to be able to forgive and move forward. So there's plenty of times that we annoy each other a lot and we need to be honest about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and also, like I said earlier, bring something that's like a downtime thing for you.
Yeah.
If you just have time, how you can spend it if you're not going out. And for us, it's, we have our own things that we can do.
You got to build in separate alone time, just like anyone. No one's with their partner 24/7.
Yeah.
At home, you have your separate hobbies and activities, and so we have to intentionally make time for that because it's so easy to just default to just always being together. And so we need to have that separate time for sure. I think being very vocal about when either of us needs alone time, saying that has been super helpful for us the last couple months. It's been a learning experience for sure.
Totally. Yeah, 8 months constantly with somebody is fun. It's a lot of fun. We learn so much about each other and we have a great time. But
you get to travel with your best friend.
Then
you're also traveling with your best friend.
Yeah, so
It's been worth it. I'll keep traveling with you.
Likewise.
I think those were all of our questions.
Yeah.
The main ones.
Main ones. Megan also wrote a blog.
If you have any other questions, drop them in the comments.
After this video, we're just hanging out. We're in Arizona.
Back in the States.
Yep, so we're gonna be here for a little while, hanging out, visiting family and friends, and exploring around here. And then we're gonna start making our way towards Baja, which is gonna be a lot of fun.
Totally.
So make sure to stick around and check that out in the upcoming videos, and check out some of the past videos. You can watch us make mistakes and learn from there, and you'll answer some more questions that you might have. So check it out.
Yep.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming and watching the video and hanging out with us for a little bit.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you next time, okay?
Bye.
Much love, everyone. Peace.